The Cotton series, a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up franchise beginning back in the early 90s. It's one of the main faces of the shoot-'em-up subgenre. It's brilliant, really. What if shmup, but cute? Turn everything adorable and crank up the colors while keeping the tight, responsive, and challenging gameplay players come to expect from the genre intact. Cotton was all over the place in Japan, from arcades to home consoles, but these games never really came out in the States and have laid dormant for a while. Until recently, that is, where by some sort of miracle we've been getting numerous re-releases, remakes, and now even a full-on new sequel. I think the Switch is to blame for its revival. I've seen countless companies gain renewed confidence in their dormant IPs with how successful software sales have been for retro and indie games on the platform. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's definitely the impression I get. When Cotton Rock and Roll was announced, I was pretty excited. I'm not gonna lie and say I was the world's biggest Cotton fan or anything, but I've been enjoying the games I've recently bought, and I just thought it was cool that they were finally making a new one. Now, I'm a bit of a game collector, but I also happen to collect figures, and if there's one thing I love to collect specifically, it's figures of obscure characters from franchises I like. Because that doesn't happen that often. You don't open Twitter and see some company tweet, "Hey guys, so I hear you like Pocky and Rocky, so we decided to take a risk on our niche IP and make Nendoroids for them." No! It's never gonna happen. But I swear to God, if that does, with the new Pocky and Rocky just around the corner, I'd be pretty happy. But yeah, Cotton Rock and Roll got a collector's edition, and wouldn't you know it, it came with a Nendoroid. Good Smile Company makes so many Nendoroids these days, but it's actually not that common anymore for them to force you to buy a collector's edition if you want them. This bundle costs about $100, which is around 50 more than just buying the game separately, which I think is pretty fair. Nendoroids at minimum these days cost around $50, so really they're just making you buy both. It ain't ethical, but they know some people just can't resist missing out. So, I guess I'm the one to blame if this becomes more common. But enough of all that. Why don't we open it up and find out just how much bang for our buck we're getting here. With an emphasis on the Nendoroid. I really am making this video to check that out specifically, but I'll be sure to check out the rest too. Starting off, the box kinda just looks like a big Nendoroid box actually. I kinda like it. It's very colorful and would look great on a shelf. Going around, we see some of the characters that are playable in the game. We got Appley, a mainstay of the franchise, Kawase, who's actually from the Umehara Kawase games, and the rest, I have no idea. But I looked into them, and we have Ria, Fine, and Luffy. Going inside the box, the first thing of note is the game, of course. Cover art looks nice, no manual as you'd expect, but the inside is lined with some tutorial stuff. By the time I'm uploading this, I did actually get a chance to play it, did a whole playthrough as Ria. Super fun, really great return to form for the series. Ria seemed like an easy mode, even though her playstyle made me think she'd be harder because you're supposed to graze bullets to level up. Maybe this only matters if you don't abuse infinite continues. I mean, can you blame me? It's so easy on a first playthrough to just keep trying instead of restarting. Either way though, great game, and I'm looking forward to playing it as other characters since they all seem so different. Next, we got a nice little book going over the history of the Cotton franchise. There's a ton of information that I wish I could read, but it's fun to go through and check out all the different games that have been released over the years with screenshots and official artwork. 90s art was so fucking cool. I just love how of the era it is, and nothing really looks like it anymore unless they specifically try to copy it. Maybe one day I'll be able to fully enjoy this book, but today's not that day. The collector's edition also comes with a soundtrack CD. Honestly, I'm probably not gonna open this. It's just really easy to get music on YouTube, and I don't see myself ever using this, so I might as well keep it new. I love having it though. It's in one of those like half CD cases, which I'm not really a fan of, but hey, at least you get to see the disc art from the outside, so that's kinda neat. All this stuff so far is pretty cool. You got a nice book and some music to go along with the game. Seems like a good value already, but let's get into the Nendoroid, the main attraction, the whole reason I was compelled into getting this set to begin with. You know, I didn't consider this until now that she's set up, but Cotton is often portrayed in a chibi art style during gameplay, so when you think about it, this Nendoroid is actually kind of proportionally accurate in a way. Not to the artwork, of course, but when I look at her in Nendoroid form, I see Cotton, not an artistic, stylized interpretation of her. Turning her into a Nendoroid really ended up being a great call. Now, right off the bat, the first thing I notice is that her hair is really pink. In Rock and Roll, they changed it to pink, but even on the box, it's red. All the recent games I played, it's red. Her hair is red all throughout the book, I'm just saying. Actually, now that I looked into it some more, her hair has been pink in games before, like in the first game. Though, artwork would also imply it's red in that one as well. This is all just confusing at this point. It doesn't look bad, it's just not what I immediately think of with Cotton. The sculpt is fantastic, complete with her little tuft of hair at the top. I think it looks perfect, it's just not red. Cotton is decked out in her iconic witch robe, all faithfully sculpted. It's a simple design of blues and yellows all cleanly painted throughout. For the most part. My figure had a few spots of paint effects that you could see when you get really close. It's nothing serious and a magic eraser will clean those spots up. Her chest pieces and belt dangles are sculpted rather than being painted on, and along with the subtle creases and bends throughout the robe on the bottom half, give her a little more depth. One of the most defining aspects of a Nendoroid are the faceplates, and Cotton comes with 3 of them. A neutral smiling face, which is very typical for Nendoroids to come with. Nice, but not too exciting. Next up is a more energetic open mouth smiling face. This one's fairly iconic in almost every game and official art piece she's featured in, and makes the first faceplate kinda obsolete in my opinion. And finally we have her most unique faceplate, her greedy face. That, or she's a fan of Master Roshi. She's certainly up to no good no matter how you interpret it. This is the face she makes when she sees or thinks about Willows, a candy in the Cotton universe that's her motivation to do just about anything. She's a bit like Kirby in that regard, where she's strong enough to help save the world, but is only motivated by sweets, though Cotton is often tricked into doing so. The cartoony eyes pointing upward, the mouth fully open making a toothy grin with a bit of saliva dripping out. It really harkens back to the early anime days, and it's a great faceplate that makes the set more unique by having it. To switch faceplates, all you gotta do is pop the hair off the seam line, take the current faceplate out, and put the one you want in. The previously mentioned Willow comes with its own hand so that Cotton can hold it, but you can detach it if you'd like. We've also got 2 separate arms, one being a bent left arm with her finger sticking up so that you can put her in a Sonic 1 pose, and the other is primarily used for her last major accessory, the broom. It's a bit simple in design, but it's fairly accurate to what we always see her with, and I think it looks great. All you gotta do is slide the broom inside the hand with the hole, and bam, now she's holding it. Oh, and by the way, all the hands can be detached from the arms they came with, allowing for more expressions and poses. This is how we go from simply holding the broom to riding it. I wasn't expecting this, but we actually get an entire extra bottom half of Cotton in order to allow her to fly correctly. Thinking about it, I'm sure this was the easiest way to do it considering the robe would just get in the way. The only alternative I can think of is if the robe was made from a softer, bendy plastic, but that would probably cause its own set of problems, so I think it's for the best. But yeah, just remove the bottom half of the figure and pop in this one. Then replace her right arm with the broom riding one, and there you go. Cotton up in the air and looking at her best. If you've never owned a Nendoroid, I should have mentioned she comes with a stand. Most Nendoroids can't even stand without their stand, so just set her up and plug it into her back and you're good to go. I really like this setup for her, and that's good because I'm probably never going to change it after this. Nendoroids aren't really the most fun toy to mess around with. Articulation is low for most Nendoroids. It's typically just pegs that can be swiveled around a bit and hinge joints for basic up and down movement. These things are really dependent on the accessories to get the most out of them, which hey, good transition opportunity because the biggest disappointment of this figure has got to be the lack of any projectile accessories for her to shoot. I mean, come on, it's a shmup. It's kind of the entire point of the game. There was this one promotional image of Cotton in front of a backdrop from the original game shooting her dragon spell, and I thought it was going to be one of those acrylic pieces of plastic some Nendoroids get when they want to cheap out, and I'm just like, fine, I get this is a bit of a budget figure that they likely don't expect to sell well, so I suppose that'll do, but even then that's not what it was. I looked in the box, normally they just tape these accessories to the blister or the cardboard itself, but actually what they were trying to show is the entire cardboard insert of the box. What? No, I'm not ruining the entire box just to have a backdrop. It's even advertised on the box itself like it's a feature. Even if I wanted to, it's all bent up because, you know, it's a goddamn cardboard insert that's just supposed to make the item look better inside. Alright, let's just move on. It doesn't actually matter. I'm just gonna borrow some other Nendoroids accessories. I think I got a few that would work. Yeah, this'll work. How about this, huh? Got a couple of witches just hanging out. Is Pyrojack a witch? I don't know if that counts. Perhaps he's just a ghoul. Or a demon. Demon makes sense. Either way, I think they look pretty nice together, so that's all that really matters. I might have complained a bit towards the end, but that's because the Nendoroid template is so universally solid without much room for error. And that's true of this one. What we've got here is a Nendoroid specifically for the Cotton fans, and most likely them only. As a fan of the games, as a fan of niche figures, I knew I was going to like this. It's a great little figure that's only really held back by its lack of projectiles and arguably one redundant faceplate. Like I said earlier, she barely looks like a Nendoroid 2, so for those wanting a nice Cotton figure, this is your best bet. Might even be your only bet, now that I'm thinking about it, but it's a good one. It gains points for being a Nendoroid that's very faithful to the original character, and loses some points for his basic set of accessories. For those who really only care about Nendoroids though, I'm not really sure if you need to grab this, considering it'll cost you over $100 unless you do some smart shopping. She's currently in stock at a few stores, so it's up to you if you want to play the waiting game and perhaps grab her on sale, if that ever happens. I'm sure this Nendoroid will never be re-released, but it's hard to say if the aftermarket will ever go crazy for a character like her. I mean, Switch collectors are pretty crazy. Some of them will throw down some serious cash to complete their sets. So just follow your heart, or your brain, or your gut. I don't know. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Until next time.